in between my sophomore and junior year in the summer, as I was walking, I think it was actually my last. No, I don't think it was my last day of school. I think I had gone back to the school shortly after it ended to pick something up out of my locker. Anyway, I was walking back to the crib, and bro, I got stood up, gunpoint, from behind. I'm walking up a hill, and as I'm walking up the hill, I feel something touch the back of my head, and I'm just like, oh shit. So obviously, I ended up being okay. I really didn't have much of anything, so they took my wallet, but it really wasn't shit.
Man, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna record in 3, 2, 1. All right, Lyndon, welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Ross.
Yo, dude, man, this has been a long time coming, bro.
Yo, it really has, bro. I've been excited about today, man. You already know, you know it.
I know, man. You and I know, but they don't know yet, man. So we gotta tell them. We gotta tell them in this episode.
Right, they gonna know today.
They gonna learn today. But man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here on the show, bro. You and I go back. We've been connected for a few years now, and we've even worked together, on a few projects. So super awesome to have you here, man, and can't wait to share your story with the listeners.
Thanks, man. Definitely appreciate it, man. Yeah, we definitely go back like 2 flats on the Cadillac.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Lyndon, man, for the people that aren't familiar with you and your work, like, would you mind to give us a brief overview on what you're currently involved with?
Man, so currently I am pretty much 100% dedicated to the real estate world and specifically apartment syndications, bro. So that's what I've been going really hard on right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I still have my love for crypto. I still study economics like crazy. I still love technical analysis, analyzing charts, but real estate is my 100% focus at the moment, man.
So you mentioned crypto, right?
Yeah.
Now, for the people out there, would you mind to give them a kind of like an overview of what you do in the trading space?
Yeah. So, all right. So trading in general, right? So my experience mainly is with futures. Specifically, I love trading currencies. I also do some silver, some gold, stuff like that. So technical analysis with that, also crypto, right? So me, I like to go in, right? I generally use TradingView. I go in, I look at these charts, right? I like to look at patterns. I like to look at support and resistance, all these other fancy technical analysis words. But essentially I go in, look at these candle charts and I analyze them to try to see, okay, where do I believe price action is going? And then I use that obviously to, at the end of the day, try to make some money.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
And that's actually how we got connected, right? Through the power of cryptocurrency, which gets a lot of controversy, right? Even to this day, it's either you're on either side of the coin, right? Either you love crypto and you believe in it, or you hate crypto and you think it's a scam.
Yep.
You and I happen to be on the we love crypto part because, well, when I got involved, crypto was exploding, right? This was like 2017. Remember, Bitcoin hit over like $20,000.
Yep.
But you've been in the game for longer than that. Like you were already trading and you were already involved. So I'm curious, man. Like, why did you choose trading as a vehicle to make money? Like, how did that come about?
Pretty much, man. So my idea, right, is I'm an analytical person by nature. So I love analyzing stuff no matter what it is, what type of data. I like to break it down. Also, a goal of mine, right, is the idea is to try to get my money in a position to where it does all the heavy lifting. And then I just, pull it out, throw it in the bank account, go spend it, do stuff like that. So for me, right, it was a merge between two worlds, right? Because one, analytical side of me, it gets fed. Secondly, right, the potential of money that you can make when you're doing trading, whether that's crypto, forex, futures, whatever the case, it really can be astronomical if you put the right things in place and do the right motion. So for me, it was kind of like my start into really putting my emotions aside and using my analytics to see, can I take my natural personality and essentially make money for me? So, yeah, man, that's pretty much what decided me to get into it. And I don't regret it at all because it's been lovely.
Now, did somebody kind of like put you on to this space, or were you just browsing the internet one day and saw something about trading, or like did somebody, tell you about it? Like, how did you discover this world, right?
Yeah, so now, man, but so trading in general, nobody told me about that. Honestly, what it was is that, so obviously growing up, right, I've always kind of been interested in business and passive income and just investing in general, right? So I've always had like this mind to research and just, especially when Google came about, right? You just type in words and see what pops up. I would literally just go online and type in investing or investments or investment vehicles, and I would just see what pop up. So one day, obviously, stocks pop up. So, you have bonds and you have all these other different ways you can invest as well. But stocks is kind of the thing that stuck out to me, obviously, just because of fundamentally how much research and analytics go into it and stuff like that. So naturally, I just kind of gravitated to that. And then my thing was like, okay, I want to see how much of this, how deep the rabbit hole goes. And pretty much discovered it by my own, man. It just self-taught, pretty much what I did is that I found individuals who seem to have the reputation of being successful and being really good at what they do, and then literally just following their footsteps, following whether it be videos, audios, books, whatever the case. I would just soak it all in, man. Yeah.
That's awesome, man, honestly, because the trading space, for anybody that doesn't know, it's a very intimidating space, right?
Facts.
Like, trading is not a get rich overnight deal.
No.
Even though if you go on social media nowadays, you might see an ad that says, last month I made $30 million trading, and here's how you can do it too. And obviously they're pushing some product, and it is what it is. But the trading space is pretty intimidating. We're talking about graphs, numbers, percentages, ratios, all different types of indicators. So that had to come from somewhere, man. Like, were you like a really good student? Were you really good at math? Like, what did that look like in your upbringing, man?
Yeah, so funny, two parts to that question. One, yes, I loved math. So like my senior year, right? Senior year is where you're supposed to do nothing, right? You got senioritis, you go to school, you barely do any work, you know what I'm saying? You just go and you get it done, right? Dude, my senior year, I took 5 out of 7 of my courses were math. I took probability and statistics, college algebra. What else did I take? I took advanced geometry. Bro, I was like, give it all to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally want to learn it all. So from there, obviously, right, analyzing numbers just kind of came naturally. And that's why I said, for me, technical analysis, stocks, it's so much information, bro. It's so many numbers. There's so many different indicators and ways you can calculate whether you feel like, to help you figure out whether a stock is going to go up more than likely or down more than likely. So just naturally, man, it's that math pool pretty much swung me over that way. Now, as far as the good student part, it's kind of another topic.
Well, I find that there's a trend with, entrepreneurs and being a good student academically. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's really like no correlation, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, even like just doing this show, I talked to somebody the other day. This guy is worth $300 million. He dropped out in the 9th grade. I mean, if you're bound for success, you're gonna make it happen, right? And plus, we're in the information age, right? So I mean, anything's you can Google it. But dude, I gotta say, man, honestly, like, I feel like kind of nauseous and wanting to vomit that you loved math so much, because I absolutely, I could not pass. I'm not even kidding you. I'm gonna embarrass myself here. I could not pass remedial math. I couldn't get out of the class, so they kept making me retake it, and it was the same class over and over and over. I think I took it like three times. Because I'm just not good at math. I'm not, but I'm good at writing. And I've heard that either you're good at writing in English and bad at math, or really good at math and bad at writing. So I don't know if that's true or not, but anyways, yeah, man. I think it's awesome, and just going back, man, like, our history together, like, you really know what you're talking about when it comes to trading, and like, it definitely shows that you've put the time in and you've learned what you needed to learn to be successful. So for the person out there listening right now, they want to get into the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to learn trading, especially right now with like the stock market, Wall Street. Things have been going up like crazy. American Airlines just doubled like in value in just a couple of weeks. Or I mean, so much is going on. And somebody's sitting on the sidelines right now, and they're like, "Hey, I want to get involved in the market. I want to learn how to trade." What would you tell that person?
Man, so to anybody listening, if you decide the stock market or trading is something you want to do, the one thing that I could tell you is going to be probably the most important aspect of trading is literally you knowing yourself. Like 100%. You have to know the type of person you are, and you have to be realistic with yourself and say, okay, with the type of person I am, where do I fit into trading, right? Because the one thing a lot of people think about when trading, right, they think, okay, I want to be able to take money, trade, and make money, right? But when you really break down the different aspects of trading, right, you have fundamental analysis, you have technical analysis, you know what I'm saying? You can be a fund manager, you know, in some different ways. You can be the person that brings the money to the table, you know, you can be passive. There's a lot of different roads you can take, right? And it really is based on, one, emotionally, what can your gut take? And two, what can you do from a trading perspective that aligns with who you are, right? Because essentially speaking, if you do something and you don't necessarily have that deep of a passion for it, right, it may not last longevity wise if it's something that requires a lot of time and a lot of hours, you know, generally speaking, right? That's not always the case, but generally speaking. So with trading stocks specifically, it can take a lot of time, at least in the learning process and getting to that point of where you want to get as far as making money. Because with trading, I can tell you right off the bat, it's all about risk management. If you have great risk management, you can slowly increase your money over time. Say if you started with a smaller portfolio, and then compound wise, if you put that time in, you'll get to that point to where you have, you know, $100,000 sitting in your account, and you can go and trade, insane amounts of derivative contracts with less risk exposure, because you're not putting your whole war chest or your whole principal amount that you have into that trade, which is just, you just never do that. Don't do that. It's dangerous. Believe me, you will get wiped out. I literally have known people and have been trained by people who have literally at one point had $1 million+ in their trading account and have completely blown it up. Because the emotion, you know, you start making small reckless moves and, you know, not going by their plan or their strategy that they had in place. And believe me, you will wipe it out. You know, it's the stairs up and the elevators down. So know yourself and then figure out what role you really want to play. And if you have the emotional stamina to, to basically trade. And at the end of the day, even if you don't, or you feel like you're not there, if you really want to do it, figure out what it would take for you to get there and just practice it. Practice like practice like a motherfucker. A lot.
I love it, bro. Hey, that's great advice, man.
Yeah.
You know, in your opinion, do you think you can make money in the trading world, whether it's stocks or crypto, with a very little amount of money? Like, let's just say like $1,000 or less. Like, so what do you think?
Okay. So yes, you definitely can make money with $1,000 or less in, honestly, the crypto market or the stock market. Now, that was the simple answer to the question. Now, here's the detailed answer to the question. Realistically, right? Again, like I said before, it's all about risk management. So let's say, just to keep it really round, for example, if you're trading a derivative market, let's say we're trading a futures, right? If you're trading a futures, in order to trade that futures to make a gain, the contract you trade in order to get into the trade may cost $500, right? So in essence, if you only have $1,000, you can only trade 2 contracts. Now, just say you do the 2 contracts, your $1,000 is now there basically in that trade at risk. Now, based on how that movement is on the chart, I mean, you could easily be risking a couple hundreds of those dollars, depending on how your strategy is set up. That's not smart, because at the end of the day, no matter how much technical analysis you know, you do not control the market, and anything can happen and shift whatever indicators you used in that chart to predict what was going to happen. It can change. I've literally watched it happen plenty of times. So you have to be smart, right? So when you think about it, look at the different markets and say, based on how much money I have, where does it make sense for me to trade? If you have $1,000, right? To me, it would not necessarily make sense to go trade a derivative market like forex or futures, because that's a lot of risk exposure. I would look at maybe cheaper stocks, penny stocks, things like that. Even crypto. And this is the reason why I love crypto. Now, don't get me wrong. The volatility is crazy, and there's a lot of risk involved. But the barrier point of entry is a lot lower. You have cryptos are essentially like penny stocks in essence, right? They're spot markets. A spot market meaning it's not a derivative, right? Whatever that price is what you buy that asset for, and that's what you trade it for, and you make your gain or your loss based on that spot price, versus a derivative market, that being futures or forex, right? They have tick systems that, if it moves a tick, that equals, $6.25 of a gain or a loss, depending on whether it goes up and down. So I would say be smart and position your money in a place to where you don't have a lot of risk exposure, because at the end of the day, I don't care who you are. I don't know a single person on this earth that's like, yeah, I'm going to wake up today, I'm going to go trade in any market and I'm going to lose money. Nobody's saying that. Nobody wants to wake up and lose money. So if you don't have the experience, be smart. Just be calm and be patient. You have to have patience in trading. If you don't have patience, run the other way. Or hand your money to somebody that you really feel like you can trust and be passive in it. But don't push the limits. Believe me. Don't be the person that blows the account up. I've seen it happen. I've seen the looks on people's faces. It's not a fun day, bro.
And Lyndon, bro, honestly, man, I'm guilty of it. I've been there. I've lost thousands of dollars in a night, and I wanted to puke because, truthfully, I didn't know really what I was doing. Like, I thought I knew what I was doing, but it was more of like just throwing mud at the wall and hoping something is gonna go up in value, right? And the mud's gonna stick. And two, I was extremely impatient, and I was very emotional, and it's a real thing, right? Like, the money was just going, it was red, man. It was just like losing, and of course, like I wouldn't have lost money had I not sold it, but I got so nervous, I thought it was gonna go to zero, so I panicked. And I know you've heard this so many times. Like, this to you is like a doctor seeing strep throat. It's like you've heard this so many times. It's like this game, but I got so nervous I hit sell. And I'm like, I gotta stop this. Like, I'm bleeding out of the arteries, right? Yeah. and then I see it come back up, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I can't win. Yeah. So, like, I mean, it's a tough market to be in, but you can make money. You can make money trading, right? I mean, that's just the truth. Yep. Lyndon, I'm curious, man. Uh-huh. In your opinion, why does cryptocurrency get so much hate?
So it gets so much hate the same reason the internet did when it first came around. It's super new. It's completely unorthodox to the average person. They're just like, wait a minute, we already have money. Why do we need another money? Or we already have these tradable asset class. We have stocks, bonds, all this other stuff. Why do we need another one called crypto? Wait a minute, there's technology behind it that's all super intricate. Wait a minute, what? Why is this even happening, right? So there's this stigma that comes along with anything that has the potential to revolutionize or evolutionize any industry, right? Now, when you're talking about finance, right, that's major. When you're talking about technology, that's major. Well, crypto literally combines both of those things and potentially can revolutionize it in a way that has never been done before as we know it in our history. So it's just like, if crypto came along and everyone embraced it, I would be really worried at this point. I would be like, everybody's like, oh, I love Bitcoin. I love crypto. I'm like, wait, what? Like everybody understands this, what's going on? Like, okay. But so it just comes naturally, man. It's just like the internet, right? People were making fun of email. Like, what is this? Info at, .com. Like, this is stupid. Nobody's ever going to use this. Yeah. All right. Imagine a world without email right now. Imagine a world without the internet right now. It doesn't make sense. So, it's just one of those things that I think it's just people over time slowly have to understand the value that it brings. And that's the thing too, right? Because you have your crypto maximalists and the people that say like, oh, Bitcoin matters or crypto matters because it's going to completely replace the US dollar or any, fiat currencies being, US dollar, yen, stuff like that. Those main currencies that we know of, the paper money, things like that. So I don't necessarily feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all here. There's really enough room for fiat and crypto to coexist if that's really the case. Naturally, I believe it will start to kind of phase out fiat money, or at least paper money as we know it today. Just looking at it from a more fundamental perspective and what it brings to the table. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So it's at the end of the day, it's just like, if the USD wants to still stay around, as long as I can still trade Bitcoin, I don't care. Like I'm good. It doesn't bother me. USD can stay over there in that corner and I'll be over here.
It's almost like, I mean, we're both in real estate, right? And you're doing some syndicating in the apartment world. I'm in the house space.
Yep.
But it's very different than real estate or even tech, that like just software and stuff like that. I feel like sometimes if I'm in like a networking circle and I bring up Bitcoin, it's like I instantly become like the weird one, right? Like oh, that guy's into Bitcoin, like that guy's a fucking weirdo. And it's like, well, I mean, fuck. I just keep it to myself there. I feel like the crypto community, it's like either people are just hiding that they're invested in crypto, or they just get into other communities where people like are freely, openly talking about crypto, like Crypto Legends on Facebook. Join the group right now; it's a great group. Yeah. But why is that though, right? Like why? How did Bitcoin become this like taboo? Like it's weird.
Again, like it literally is challenging. It's challenging the system. A highly used and powerful system that literally controls even more than just the United States, right? You know what I'm saying? The USD is very important. It serves as a strong currency for countries all around the world. If you know about oil, you know about the petrodollar and things like that. The USD has been running the show for a long time now. So to think that there's something that's technology based that's going to come in the picture and just change that, especially to the people who aren't ready for that change, who are very comfortable with the US dollar and using that as a main currency, they're like, no, like not at all. So it makes sense. Like I said, it would worry me if everybody was okay with it. So I expect that pushback. And that's the fun part, right? Because that's what makes it fun to start doing analyzing, right? Because essentially when you're analyzing anything, you're pretty much analyzing human emotions or the psychology of humans in some way, shape, or form. So it's interesting to see the kind of push and pull that goes on with people and how they feel about crypto or, Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the coins, because it really does measure not only where an individual is as they speak about a topic, but you can break it down to how do certain countries feel about crypto? How does the whole world as a whole feel about crypto? You can break it down to specific cryptos and stuff. So for me, it's a fun way to put my analytical skills to work, and it just put my mind into it and then see what it spits back out at me. So bro, it's controversially awesome at the moment.
Should people be buying stocks and or crypto? Yes or no?
Both. But, and this is a big ass but, but understand what you're doing, where you're at. Shout out to that plane that just flew by my window.
Was that a fighter jet? That sounded like an F-16 fighter.
Yo, the first thing I thought when it flew by, I was like, yo, I bet you Ross is going to know what plane that is.
Are you really by an Air Force base?
Bro, yeah. So I'm not near it, but they have a training facility. I can literally look out my window and see it, and they fly here all the time, bro. They practice for shows and stuff. No joke. Not even being funny, being for real. Every time I see it, I think about you because I know you love that shit.
I'm coming over, bro. with binoculars. I just want to see play. I love fighter jets, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they fly over all the time, bro. Like all the time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
But that's funny. Yeah. Oh man, good times. No, but so both. So but the big but is you need to be very aware of what you're buying, why you're buying it, and what your game plan is, right? Because let's break it down separately, together, but separately, right? Stocks and crypto, they're both in very unique places right now. Obviously, we have a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, politically, scientifically, economically. I mean, it's a lot, speaking just specifically here in the US, COVID, riots, all of this stuff, right? All of those things have an influence on both crypto and stocks in some way, shape, or form, right? Because, these situations can cause for example, the businesses that are owners of these stocks, right? Or the representatives of these stocks, things can change. They have to shift plans. Good or bad news can extremely influence the stock market or the price of that particular stock. So, and it's the same with crypto. So you have to be aware of all of this stuff and you have to be tapped in. So crypto and stocks can be great to buy right now if you understand the market and where your stock is or your crypto is or your portfolio is in the midst of the now, because that's the key, right? Because one stock, I may look at it right now and be like, nope, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, versus another stock, I may look at them like, okay, well, based on even with the conditions of what's going on right now, this may actually be a really good buy, right? And it, industry and all types of stuff need. So it's just like, you have to you got to be careful, man. And especially I feel like with the stock market, because what people have to realize, right? Crypto is volatile and it's new, and there's manipulation there. But the manipulation and the amount of that happens in the traditional market, if you try to ignore that or you act like that's not there, you will get hurt. You will get hurt out here, because this is natural. You have all of these hedge funds that have these large amounts of money. A lot of them use bots and all types of stuff. You have individuals that use bots. You have to be aware of this stuff, because if you're trading on the daily or if you're just swing trading, that type of stuff is going to matter. That's the type of stuff you roll into your plan and your risk management plan or your plan of action when it comes to which stocks to trade, how long you want to hold it, blah blah blah. So all of that stuff is important. So don't skip a step, because it sounds good until your money gets wiped out because of that step you skipped.
Yeah, and talking about like the manipulation and insider trading, right? I mean, insider trading is highly illegal. Right, in the United States, at least. I don't know other countries what their laws are, but I mean, come on, bro, Lyndon. If you own a company that's publicly traded and we're boys, and you know that tomorrow you're gonna have to put out some bad news, and we're having dinner that night, and you tell me like, dude, I gotta tell people like our earnings are not looking good.
Damn.
And I go to, like, of course I'm gonna go sell my share. Like, am I wrong here? Like, is that how? I mean, like, it's only like makes just common sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, naturally. I mean, it's just. I mean, it's kind of like, right. You have those situations, but then I think it's more of the blatant like it's like, yo, we're gonna use this type of opportunity to completely line our pockets and then literally purposely shift the public in the opposite direction so that we can cash out. That's the type of manipulation that's just like, well, watch out for that. So it's just like, wait a minute. So a couple days before the market just tanks, all these CEOs are just selling their stocks.
Dude, that happened with that senator, man, with COVID.
Bro.
That guy knew something.
Yo,
we were all, everything was open, malls were open, water parks, everything is normal. This guy's like, this virus is gonna shut down this country. Sells his whole portfolio.
Yeah, that like, it's smart. You have to. You gotta pay attention
when you're right when you're at the round table and you get that insider information.
Facts. That's why I follow economics and politics, all of that so closely, man. Because I'm not an inside man. I don't have anybody that's on the inside of all of these big companies that can tell me when stuff's about to go down. But more often than not, at least in the traditional stock market, bro, a lot of this stuff you can more or less see coming a mile away. You may not be able to ballpark the time frame of when it's going to happen or exactly how far it's going to drop. But it's like, take COVID, for example. Bro, if you, depending on the information where you're getting your information from, there was people putting information out about COVID last year in December, January of this year, February. So it's not like, oh my God, this came out of nowhere. To most people, it came out of nowhere, right? Because they may not be super deep into research and stuff like that. But for the people that are, you know, they see stuff like this coming. And of course, you got to deal with misinformation and disinformation. It's a lot to unpack it. So I understand that. But that's why I follow that stuff so closely, because at the end of the day, I feel like I can only depend on myself. Only I am really going to care about my money as much as I do, because it's my money. So, you know, that's why I make it a point to keep track of that type of stuff and to watch it, because, man, I got to protect my bread. I work hard for this.
I agreed, bro. Agreed. Now, Lyndon, before we switch gears and go back in time, I'm curious, in your trading career, what would you consider one of your best trades? Like an opportunity that you just is a huge win for you, and you're, you know, everything just worked out good.
Oh yeah, I got a good story for that. So, man, so when I was trading futures, my thing is that I want to make the most amount of money in the littlest amount of time with the least risk exposure. So particularly when I trade anything, but especially futures, derivatives, I trade like hedge funds. So hedge funds, obviously, right, they have these large amounts of money. And they have, you know, so generally when they don't trade this huge spread, right? Like if you're trying to make money, if you have $3, $4, $30, $40 million, you know what I'm saying? The chance of you looking for a 20% spread in a day trade is slim to none, right? So from a derivatives market or from a futures market, right? The average person I see when I usually see trade, they'll trade like 5 to 10 ticks. Again, each tick is worth a certain amount of money, and you make it plus or minus, right? What hedge funds do is that they'll trade the same market, but they'll do a really small tick spread. They'll do 1 or 2 ticks, right? And then they'll just stack contracts up on top of each other. So instead of doing, say, 1 contract for 10 points, they'll do 10 contracts for 1 point. Less risk exposure, right? The likelihood of that particular derivative going 1 tick is a lot more likely than it going 10 ticks as far as risk exposure is concerned. That's the same way I trade it. And I love trading the open of the markets, because when the market opens, price does this crazy shit and bounces up and down like a person on acid. So that's when I can get in and make a lot of money. So, I'm basically working a contract. I was actually up in New York working a contract. I wake up early as hell. I wake up at I think it was 6 a.m. I was like, man, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna trade today. I'm gonna make some money. I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna make some more money. Bro, I get up, cut on my laptop, look at the charts. You know, it took about 10 minutes, look at the chart, set my support and resistance lines. Like, all right, what's my game plan? What I'm gonna do? Bro, 5 minutes later, no joke, 5 minutes later, I had about $5,000 in profit.
No way.
Yo,
what? In 5 minutes?
5 minutes. So again, like I said, I trade small tick spreads. And don't get me wrong, when you trade market open, that shit is dangerous because price is super volatile and it will usually shoot up or down. And bro, it gets nuts. But again, I trade a small tick spread. So you'll see price, if it goes up, right, it'll be going up and it'll be going up and down while ultimately going up, or vice versa. So literally in that you know what? And I'll be honest, I don't even think it was 5 minutes, bro. I think the actual time I was trading was probably literally less than a minute. Dead ass. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But after I finished the trade, I had to take a minute to sit back and look at my account like, oh shit, what just happened? Oh my God. But essentially in that small time frame, bro, I executed 47 trades. 47 trades in that small of a time frame. And because the tick spread was so small, bro. Yo, faster damn near that I could click the moment I hit that button to enter the trade, it'd be like boom, win, trade, win. And bro, I just kept hitting it and just watching the volatility. Like, let me see when this is gonna slow down. And I just kept hitting it. By the time it was over, bro, $5,000 later.
Oof. That's a nice day at the office, man.
Yo,
that's a nice
great
day.
Great day.
That's awesome, bro. That's what I do like about the trading world. You can make stuff like that happen. Real estate takes a little bit more time, you know, but you can make money in real estate also, right?
Oh yeah.
So, Lyndon, I'm curious, man. I want to switch gears here, right? The show's called Started Somewhere. Obviously, you got started somewhere. So let's go back in time and. You know, what kind of upbringing did you have? You know, what was it like for you growing up? Where did you grow up? Like, let's go back in time here.
All right, let's do it. So I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri. And growing up there, man, I mean, St. Louis, right? If you've never been or you're not from there, right? It can be challenging, let's say that. So, and where I grew up, right? And don't get me wrong, my parents, you know, always provided for me. I luckily had both of my parents in my life. You know, they got divorced when I was younger, so 5 years old. But nonetheless, they were both always there, right? And I had more or less a good direction to help keep me out of trouble. Because the city, bro, it presents a lot of opportunities to do the wrong shit. A lot. So, you know, that was really important. So, and I was never necessarily always in the best areas because I have a huge family. My family lives all over St. Louis. So sometimes I'll be out in the county and it'll be cool. Sometimes I'll literally be in the middle of the hood. It is what it is. And back then, you know, especially, you know, you're a kid, so you don't even think about that as much. You don't really realize your environment like you do when you get older. But when I started getting older and I realized what I was around and what was around me, I'm just like, man, there has to be a place with better opportunities and things like that, right? So luckily, from a really early on age, 3 people that were really monumental in as far as almost kind of like indirectly, but kind of directly influencing me and getting me interested in business was my dad. He did real estate. He kind of did, you know, he had like a 2-family flat that he owned. He had a condominium that he owned and stuff like that, small apartment building with 4 units and stuff like that. So I watched him do that and I was kind of like, okay, all right. And he kind of used to explain what he was doing. I was like, okay, I picked up on that part. I had another uncle completely changed my life. At the age of 16, he dropped Rich Dad, Poor Dad into my hand. After that, that was the start. Like, it was a wrap. That was the first. So for me, I always hated reading books. I hated reading books. Hated it. Unless it was like self-help or, you know, something like that. When he dropped that book into my hand, bro, I finished that book in less than 2 days. I was like, oh, it just blew my world up. And thirdly, I had an aunt. And she was just always very encouraging. She was just always, you know, you know, there's different ways you can invest. There's different ways you can make money. Just kind of almost like the cheerleader in a sense, like, yo, you can do it. Like, you can really do whatever you want to. So through that, that's kind of how it all got started. Now, remember how earlier we were talking and you asked me about being a good student? And I was like, that's a story. So funny enough, man, high school was extremely monumental for me because that's when I really realized, like, I'm really interested in business. I'm really interested in real estate and stuff like that. Like, I realized this. And then also, basically, it was monumental because literally my high school experience was pretty much 50-50. My first 2 years, bro, I pretty much had all D's and F's, literally. My last 2 years, straight A's. And pretty much what it was, first 2 years, and I didn't realize at the time, but I was going to a special school in the sense of kind of like a magnet school in a sense. Bro, and I was bored. I was like, and I was bored because it's just like, I'm sitting here, I'm in these classes, you know, and they're doing advanced stuff, advanced teachings, but I'm like, why does any of this stuff matter to me with what I want to do with my life? You know, like what does any of this mean? So I would just more or less, bro, fuck off. Like, I'd be skipping class, dipping out. And not to mention, you had off-campus lunch. Bruh, That was a wrap. I was always off campus, even not at lunch. So my first 2 years, man, was just it was trash, and it's just because I was just looking at it through the wrong type of a lens, I believe, right? And more or less, and you know what, this is funny, man. I really haven't told many people this story at all. So actually, I think I've only told one person this story for the most part. Pretty much in between my sophomore and junior year in the summer, as I was walking, I think it was actually my last. No, I don't think it was my last day of school. I think I had gone back to the school shortly after it ended to pick something up out of my locker. Anyway, I was walking back to the crib, and bro, I got stood up, gunpoint, from behind. I'm walking up a hill, and as I'm walking up the hill, I feel something touch the back of my head, and I'm just like, oh shit. So obviously, I ended up being okay. I really didn't have much of anything, so they took my wallet, but it really wasn't shit. But they could. Yeah,
wait. I just want to. I had a question about this. This was in St. Louis?
Yes, correct.
And you're what, 16 at the time? Maybe 15?
Yeah. 16. It's 16, getting ready to turn 17.
Okay, so the listeners don't know this yet, but
yeah,
you're very tall.
Facts. Yeah, 6'7", or 6'8".
Yeah, you're 6'8", dude, and I'm short. So when we're together, it's like, it's funny, bro.
Yeah.
Was the dude 7 feet tall, or were you not that tall yet? Like, how did
how
did that work out?
At that time, I was probably right around like 6'5"-ish, probably something like that. Honestly, I never even saw the person because at that point, so you put a gun in the back of my head. I don't care what you look like. we got a problem. And at the end of the day, it's like, yo, because I'm just like, look, if you really think it's that serious to have whatever I have in my pocket, go ahead and take it. You can take it. And I said it literally. I was like, yo, just take what's in my pocket, dip off. I won't even turn around.
That's wild, man.
Pull it out, gave it to him. They left. And I literally didn't turn around after he left. I literally ran all the way up to the next bus stop and then just went to the crib.
What was that like, man? Like, holy cow, bro.
It was a complete and utter fucking wake-up call that it doesn't matter where you are, where you're from, who you are, who you know, man. Nobody is walking around here that's untouchable. And I really kind of had that mentality back then, like, and I grew up around certain individuals that did certain things that weren't necessarily good. So it's like none of it was foreign. I'm just like, yo, I ain't never had any bad experience happen to me like this. So I'm good. Yeah, well, that changed that day. And literally at that point, it shifted my mind to a point where I was like, I really need to get out of this city. Like, I need to go do something else. And I need to go somewhere else to really experience and see what's out there. I don't want to be the guy that's still here, never left home, 35 years old, regretting that I never left and stuff like that. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go to school. I took myself out of that managed school. Basically, I got enrolled into a military school, went there and completely aced out. My senior year, I pretty much didn't have to do any work because I literally had I had over hundreds in my classes, bro. My grades at the end of the year were like 103, 106 because I would do all the work and the extra credit. And then at the end of the year, the teachers knew I knew the work. So they would give me grades based on helping other students and teaching them rather than me, doing the lesson myself because they knew I would ace it. So from that perspective, I was blessed, bro. And then as soon as I graduated, I was gone. I went to Kansas City, Missouri, and actually enrolled into the college up there, UMKC, University of Missouri, Kansas City. Found out after 2 years of turning up and partying hard as hell that one, college wasn't for me, and two, Kansas City was not far enough away from St. Louis because while I lived there, for the 2 years I lived there, got shot at again. No, twice. Got shot at twice, randomly, literally. And I'm like, one time was right next to the college campus. Another time was when I was going back home coming from the camp. I'm like, yo, what is going on? And then another time while I was there, bro, at the time I was working security. I would get up really early, like 4:30 in the morning and go to work. This when I was taking the bus. Bro, somebody literally tried to kidnap my big ass at like 4:30 in the morning. Like literally all blacked out van, no lights on, only car on the street is literally following me, bro. I'm like, yo, when I tell you I Usain Bolted out of that shit, like I was jumping fists, bro. Like I was like, nah, I gotta go further away because this.
Wait, yo, this is getting crazy. Bro. So you're okay. Let me back up here. So you're attending college in Kansas City, Missouri, right?
Facts.
How far is that from St. Louis, by the way?
So about 3.5 hours.
This is not that far.
And that's not going west.
Yeah.
Nah.
So you're going to college, right?
Yeah.
And you said you got shot at randomly.
Yeah.
What were you at a party? Were you
No.
Like you were just walking in the street and somebody just started opening fire?
Yes. Literally one time, I was literally on the college campus. Like literally, like here's the college campus. And this is the sidewalk that ends the college campus. Like that's the borderline. I was there getting on the bus to go home. And somebody just started shooting. I'm like, what? Like how? Like yo, I jumped, and it was funny because you ever seen, right? You know, you have the concrete, and then they have the rails that go up and have the bars that come across, the big metal rails. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, I don't know if you've ever seen it, they have ones that are actually double. They're double in height. They look stacked. Bro, I jumped back over that rail with one hand. Like the adrenaline was stupid high, bro. Literally, I heard boom, boom. And it's the second boom, I knew what it was. And I just literally, from a standstill, literally projected myself over that bar and just took cover.
Dude, that's terrifying, man. Holy smokes. Wow. That's,
bro, I have been in
you had to go through that, bro.
Bro, I have those situations. I have been in some of the weirdest. Bro, one time I got shot at out of nowhere in Iowa.
In Iowa?
I'm visiting my sister. Never been to Iowa before in my life. Visiting my sister on a college campus. I was going somewhere. I think I was going to a gas station. Happened to make the wrong turn down a regular residential street that just happened to be, I guess, the people in the house that I drove by when I realized I went the wrong direction happened to be doing a drug deal. At least that's my assumption. Well, I was in the wrong place at the wrong fucking time. I was like, bro, like I can't get a break.
Wow, bro. That's well, thankfully you didn't get hit. Right?
Nah, I have, bruh, as many bullets that have flown my way, that's how I know God is real, dog, because I could definitely be dead right now from a lot of different of those situations the way they happen, and I'm just,
man. Dude, that's why it's never a bad idea to carry something on you, man, because
facts.
You never know what it's crazy, sick world out there, man, and there's a lot of weird people that
weirdos
do weird shit, man. So. That's crazy, bro. Well, thanks for sharing those stories with us, man.
Yeah, man.
You said you worked security. Now, was that your first ever job, or had you worked jobs before that?
No, so actually, my first job, man, was actually when I was actually 12 years old when I started working. So I had an uncle. So that uncle that gave me that Rich Dad Poor Dad book, who was a really big influence on my life, he is a chef. And at the time, him and his business partner / girlfriend at the time, they owned a restaurant in St. Louis called The Real Cafe. And they were open on only Sundays. And it was pretty much like a brunch thing. And it was a buffet. Basically, when they started it, right, it was kind of like a family thing. So my uncle was there, his girl, my mom, my aunt Jackie, who also influenced me a lot, the one I was talking about earlier, she would come work there. It was me, my younger sister. They were like, yo, we want you to come in here and work because it'll teach you a work ethic that you're not familiar with, or that you will have to get familiar with when you get older. And at the time, I hated it and I loved it because I'm like, yo, I'm 12 years old. Why do I have to go to work on a Sunday? Like, yo, I'm trying to, like, I don't have to go to school. Like, I should be chilling and sleeping. But at the same time, back then, bro, so this is when I'm 12 years old, I'm getting paid $75 a day to work that one day. $75 at 12 years old,
big money,
bro. I feel like Grant Cardone at that point. Like I'm going to school. Like, you get a chocolate bar, you get a chocolate bar, you get a chocolate. Like, yo, everybody gets candy. Like, yo, I was happy.
That's
so
big money for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, so started like paying for my own clothes, buying food here and there when I wanted to. It just felt good. Like I have my own money, I can manage my own stuff. After that, bro, it was a wrap. Like I couldn't I could not have money at that point. So and I worked there from 12 to 16. I started washing dishes. By the time I was 16, I literally was running that whole kitchen. I was cooking everything, running the whole thing. And bro, I think my mom for letting me work there. I think my uncle and his girl at the time for all of that, man, because that really changed my whole perception on work ethic and work and hard work. Because bro, working in the kitchen, yo, if you've never worked in the kitchen before, yo, that shit is hard work, bro. That is work for real.
Yep, I used to be the dishwasher too, bro. The dishes never stop, man.
Bro.
They never stop. You clear the sink out, and then the line cook comes over with a whole new stack.
Facts. I'm like,
is this really your fingers get all pruny and whatnot, and it's worn out, and your hands get calluses on them. It's just like, man,
that's a fact, bro.
I'm tired of washing these dishes, man. Man, shit. Nowadays, bro, they got the dishwasher that it's like more automated, you know?
Yeah, just put them on the rack, slide that shit through. Industrial.
Cheap for that one. He's like, where's dishwasher? He goes, I'm looking at him. You got two hands. So Lyndon, so you said you were going to college, right? What did you study in college?
Funny, a couple things. So one, I thought I wanted to do architecture because I had a love for real estate. And I was like, man, it would be really cool. I've kind of always had this artistic side to me too. And I just thought architecture was that really cool way to get into real estate and have a lot of influence, right? Because if you build something, especially big structures, and they sit there essentially until they're knocked down, people can just walk by, look at them, have, develop opinions and emotions about it. And I just thought that was really cool to kind of set a piece of me in any particular part of the city at any given point in time, and knowing I had drafted that. So I thought that was dope until I realized how much fucking hours they work. And I was like, oh no, like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, man. And what I found out when I went to college, through everything that I went through, as far as all my prereqs, and I did architecture at one point, then I switched over to business management. Is I don't want to work for nobody. I don't want to work for anybody. I want to work for myself. I want to be my own boss. And at the time, I really came to one, bro. Had to do the gong, right? Like I don't want to work for nobody, man. I want to be my own boss. So I realized, at least for me, I felt like being here at college, I was basically breeding myself to be an employee, and I was not about that. And I wasn't about that. So I was just like, So I'm gonna go ahead and head out. And I dipped. I went to St. Louis. Went to San Antonio. Oh, and this is funny. I left there in 2008. So that's when the recession was happening. That's when shit started kicking in full speed. And the purpose I went to San Antonio was, one, to get further away from St. Louis, Missouri. And two, I wanted to find a place that I felt was going to be relatively safe during the recession based on research I had did. So my mom just happened to be living there, coincidentally. And she was just like, hey, come down and check it out. And I was like, okay, went down there. Never left. Still here right now. And pretty much always been here, man.
City, man. San Antonio, especially real estate wise, bro. San Antonio's a hot place, man.
Facts, it really is. It's really dope. So I loved it, man. My mom left about a year and a half later. She moved up to Plano, a little bit north of Dallas, about 4.5 hours away. And she asked me if I wanted to come. I was like, nope, I'm gonna stay right here, and I'm gonna plant my feet in the real estate, man. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah,
didn't leave.
I love it, bro. And let's talk about that here, present day. I know you're heavy in the game in the real estate world, man. You're doing some multifamily stuff, some residential stuff. Like, talk to us about that, man. What do you have going on right now?
Yeah, man. So in the real estate world, so mainly what I am focusing on is apartment syndication. So I'm the one that's basically going out, finding these deals, finding apartment complexes that are up for sale that the sellers want to get rid of. And then I'm pulling in the investors and basically formulating that whole deal. I'm the one analyzing. I'm the one putting the team together. So the legal team, the contractors, all of that. Like I'm pretty much facilitating it all. And my goal is to make me and those passive investors a lot of fucking money.
How many? How many units do you look for in a building to take a look at that building?
Right. So I kind of have two answers to that, and I like to say this because I never right numbers. If numbers are good, numbers are good, right? Generally speaking, I prefer 10 units or above, and really, what I look for is generally 40 units and more, right? I like mid-sized to large deals. So large deals being, 150, 200, 250 units. That's what I like to look at. But I won't turn down anything less if the numbers make sense, right? I'll take a look. I may take a quick look and see, like, okay, is it worth entertaining this? Because I mean, you may have a 4 unit, a single family 4 unit, or you may have a 5 unit or 6 unit that it just makes sense. It's a good value add. You can make good returns. And if it's not really keeping me from doing anything in a multifamily space, then it's like, hey, why not make some extra money? So, but typically speaking, 40 units above is what I look for.
Big boy deals.
Yeah, gotta.
What class are we talking about? C's, B's, A's?
So generally, what I look for, I don't deal with A's. I don't deal with D's. It's a lot more risk to me involved with those. Can you make money? Yes, but again, right? I analyze a lot of stuff. So I look at politics. I look at the economy. I look at the economy from both a national and international perspective. I look at a lot of things that I know. Gold and silver markets. I look at oil. Obviously, that can heavily influence real estate. I look at the things that cause the real estate market to do certain things. And then I say, what makes the most sense if we're in worst case scenarios, whether it's hyperinflation, whether it's deflation, what does that look like from a real estate perspective? So specifically, I like to focus on value add properties, whether that's a B class and improving maybe it's mismanaged, maybe they're not maybe the rents aren't up to par with what the market is and you can increase those, or maybe it's a lot of different ways you can add value. So it's either that, or I look for properties. My favorite is looking for C classes that can be brought to B class if done correctly.
Reposition.
Facts.
Yeah.
Reposition.
I like it.
A beautiful thing.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing right now in your market, cost per door for C classes and maybe a B minus, somewhere around there?
Bro, to be honest, numbers are all over the place. And the reason why I say that is because, some of these properties are like the valuations are insane. Like, and it's funny, right? Because we're in this really unique space, this post kind of post COVID space, right? Because from an analytical standpoint, numbers don't necessarily reflect COVID heavily, at least negatively, from a real estate perspective. So from a real estate perspective, a lot of people are still pricing their properties as if COVID isn't happening. Not only are they doing that, but you're seeing for example, I was looking at this one apartment complex, bro. Literally in the listing, this one is listed on LoopNet with a broker. The property literally says, this is the price of the property. It was priced at $1.4 million, and it was a 29 unit. And they said it had a market cap of 6.5%. And I'm like, okay. And then they go, you literally 2 sentences down the paragraph, and they say, hey, and our rents are actually lower than what the area warrants. So if you basically bump up the rent, it's going to add this much value to the property. But they calculated that value based on a 9.5% cap rate. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, and just so anybody who's listening, cap rate is something that's used as a measurement to be able to basically tell you the value of a multifamily deal, right? So the idea is, say you have income, right? Say whatever size apartment is bringing in $100,000. Let's say your expenses are half of that at $50,000, right? Your cap rate, depending on the type of property, say, just to keep it round, A class has a 6% cap rate, B class has a 7%, and all the way down the line, right? A is like the top tier luxury apartment. D is like the worst, in the middle of the worst area property. They calculated the price, the value of the property at a 6.5% cap rate. Okay. But they calculated the income for if you raise rents at a 9.5. And I'm like, what?
It's it's backwards.
Yeah. And that's the first thing that I realized. I realized that it's backwards, and I'm like, no, like, who even typed this up and actually put this on the website at this point? Because that person should probably be fired.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and for listeners out there, generally speaking, when cap rates are high, values are low, and when cap rates are low, values are high.
Facts.
So yeah, dude, we've been talking for so long. Yeah. That the sun, it like when we started the call, it was sunshine out, and now it's dark. Now it's nighttime.
I know, yo. I was looking. I'm looking at myself on the screen, and I'm like, yo, I'm starting to not be able to see myself. Like, I gotta cut the light on.
Dude, and that dude, like, the people don't know, man. But we'll tell them in a bit. But we've had like 5-hour conversations before. Where we look, Facts. We start at like 10, and then it was like 4 in the morning. What is going on here?
Like, oh shit! Yo, that's a fact.
I know, man. It's awesome, man. So you're doing some apartment stuff. You're doing the trading stuff, man. You're pretty much all over the place. You're a serial entrepreneur.
Facts.
Lyndon, I'm curious, man. What do you want out of life?
Man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Honestly, man, what I want out of life is just freedom. And I mean like real freedom. I mean like freedom from the worries that I feel like the day-to-day person may have to worry about, right? They have to worry about a job. They have to worry about bills. They have to worry about making sure, they have enough money in their bank account to buy food, provide for their kids, go on vacations. I want to just be able to wake up, know that I have money, and know that I can provide for myself, anybody that may need it close to me, while at the same time creating opportunities for people to be able to do the exact same thing without bringing them dry, you know? So that's the ultimate goal. And I know, right, you know, you got to help yourself before you can really help other people in that type of a way. So, you know, that's really the goal. You know, I always take what I do and I find ways to position myself that I can return that back out into the universe to somebody else in some way, shape, or form.
I love it, bro.
Literally.
And if you were to go back in time, right? Yeah. Back to when you were in university in Kansas City, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently?
That's a good question. To be honest, man, with all of the stuff that I study, I would have did not a damn thing differently. Now, here's the reason why I say this. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own path. They do their own things, right? What you go through in your life, good or bad, is relative to you, right? What can be good to one person can be bad to another and vice versa. But at the end of the day, everything that you experience, more or less good or bad, it turns you into where you're at right now. I could honestly say that if I went back and did anything differently, I do not think I would be in the position I am right now. And I love where I'm at. And I don't know if that's necessarily for the good or the bad, but I'm very happy and content with where I'm at in my life. And I love the things that I'm learning. I love the things that I do successfully. I love the things that I fail at and I learn from and I can build on because, you know what I'm saying? Failure is one of the best teachers out here, and it'll teach you real quick, bro, real fast. You know, I've learned more from things that I failed at than things that I've been successful at, real talk. So for me, that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
It's powerful, bro. I love it, man. Yeah. What would you say is one of your biggest weaknesses?
Oh, my biggest weaknesses. That's a good question. Oh man. One of my biggest weaknesses, I think it can be my ability to procrastinate on certain things. Now it's funny, right? Me naturally, bro, I'm a binger. That's what I do. And I'm not talking about just Netflix. Don't get me wrong. I do binge Netflix too, but I'm talking about literally in anything I do, I binge. And it's just how I am. So for example, if I have a task that I have to do, if I want to do it, I'm putting almost everything else to the side and I'm getting that done, right? Sometimes I could have a couple of tasks that are time sensitive all happen at the same time. And that's when that whole binging thing kind of works against me. So it's like, you can't do that. You need to pace yourself and everything is spread it all out. So if anything, I would say that is my weakness. But again, that's something that I train to strengthen to where it's like, okay, I know I prefer to binge stuff, but if I have tasks A, B, C, and D to do, and there's no way I could binge through all 4 of those in the time frame to get them done, I have to pace myself and I have to spread it out. Will it be annoying for my mind to handle? Yes. But can I do it and get it done? Absolutely. So that's my thing. I work more on making that a very comfortable situation. So whether I binge or I spread everything out, I could just get shit done. Period.
Get shit done, bro. That's what it's all about, man. Lyndon, right now, man, people are listening to the show. They're on YouTube. They're on Spotify, Apple, whatever it is, man. What's your message to the people, man?
Man, my message to the people, yo, you know what? Ross, I know you're gonna this is gonna sound real familiar. My message to anybody listening to this podcast, everybody, this literally applies to every person. Do your own research. I don't care. I know you know that.
That's the Lyndon special right there.
Facts. You already know it. And it's really what it is. This is because, right, don't take anybody's word for anything. Do your own research and verify these things yourself. Boom. The call. Fight. No. So, my bad. Yo, that brings back Mortal Kombat. I literally just watched Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation yesterday on TV. So, that's, that's where my mind is at. But my bad. So, yeah, do your own research. Don't take anybody's word for it. Go out, do your own research, verify things for yourself, and make sure whatever it is that you want to do, right, that you can verify on your own terms that's your truth. That's factual for you. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to care about whatever it is you have going on more than you. So you want to make sure you position yourself correctly. Will it take some time? Will it take some due diligence? Yeah, it probably will. But I guarantee you will be in a much better position after you do that research than if you don't. Because if you don't, then you don't know the risk necessarily associated with whatever knowledge or information you're taking in. So you got to be really careful about that. And there's another fighter. Yo, they out here tonight, bro.
I love it, dude. Do your own research, man. That's powerful advice, bro. Especially right now with the way where we are at in the information age with technology and social media. Yep. I mean, dude, you can read one article and it can be completely bogus with no citations or fact checks, nothing.
Bro,
and suddenly you just believe it and it's fake. It's not even real.
Nope.
And now you have this whole thought in your head that's like, well, I read this article and it's on the internet, so it must be true.
Yeah, facts. And it's a constant thing, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. I've done that too. I've completely done that. So once you do that a couple of times and then you realize like, oh shit, maybe I really should have researched that because I really was believing some shit that was completely wrong. And if I would have just researched, I would have figured it out. You do that a couple of times and it puts you on the spot, you'll realize like, okay, the importance of, following up with whatever it is now that you're getting and verifying it for yourself. So that's what I do. And it helped, bro. Yo, when I tell you that makes life easier, like and I take that into when it comes to real estate, bro. Yo, doing the analytics and fact checking everything. If somebody telling me, oh, this is the case, I'll hear you, but I'm gonna go check it too. The smallest thing, and I've seen some of the smallest things come back and completely change the deal completely because I happen to research it myself and know like, okay, that what you said. Even it may not even be intentional. Somebody may just be off on what they're saying and they don't even realize it because maybe they just misquoted on accident or maybe they didn't fact check. So it makes all the difference, man. And when money's involved, shit, I'm doing research. Let me fuck up.
Love it, bro, dude. Yeah. So one of my biggest flaws is when I'm talking to somebody. Like if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to my friends, Nicole, my cousins, my dad, doesn't matter. And somebody says something wrong. Like, I know it's
Yeah.
not true, that they're
Yeah.
wrong, they're mistaken. It's very difficult for me to not correct that person. And I understand reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Nobody likes to know it all, so that's why I call it a flaw, because for me, it's hard to, because I'm like you, bro.
Right.
You're not, you're wrong. And outside of this podcast, you and I have had a show. It's called Crypto Legends on YouTube. For anybody that's listening right now that's interested in cryptocurrency, Lyndon and I have a podcast of our own, and we have a whole group on Facebook. And one thing that I've learned about you is you're very cool, calm, and collected. You almost let the person go on, even though you know that they're wrong, but they don't know that you know that they're wrong.
Yep.
And you just let them go on. And then sometimes you'll come in and you'll correct them, or you'll hit them with the truth. Yeah. But how do you stay so cool and calm all the time, man?
Because, so for me, the one thing I realized when I was real young, bro, you don't really necessarily teach anybody anything, right? Without them accepting you being the teacher, right? And when it comes to certain topics, or I would even say most topics, right? Generally, people receive information better if they feel like they discovered whatever that truth is for themselves, right? So the first thing that I generally do, if I hear somebody giving out incorrect information, right? And there's two different scenarios. There's a person who really doesn't realize that they have the facts wrong, and the other person who's giving out wrong information on purpose. Now, even though it's two different situations, I pretty much handle it the same. And what it is I let that person talk, because generally, if you're giving out the wrong information, the more you talk, in essence, the more you're burying yourself. The easier it's going to be for me to state the opposing and then break down how that is wrong, because I have a lot to go off of what you just said. So what it is that I won't come at the person disrespectful. I won't, necessarily just call them out like, oh, no, you're wrong. Unless it's just one of those things that's just so important. Like, like if you say this wrong, you may really mislead people in a major way where it's like, you need to shut the fuck up. But generally that's not the case. Right. So what it is that I will present my side of that situation in the correct way, and then I will literally shotgun you with so many facts and I will cite those facts that you will come to the conclusion yourself that the other person said the wrong thing without me ever being like, they're wrong. And it pretty much works almost every fucking time.
Great, man. It's a powerful skill.
Yeah.
Especially in business, man. And when you're, negotiating with people and dealing with other people, and there's sometimes conflicts of interest, and this person believes A and you believe B, and it's powerful, man. Linda, right now, bro, we got listeners that are gonna want to hit you up, man. They're gonna want to thank you for being on the show and give you some feedback and connect with you, learn from you. What's the best place for people to hit you up, man?
Man, honestly, the best place to hit me up is probably gonna be at probably on MySpace, man. You can just go to my
you had me for a second. You had me. I was about to open up a little roast sesh right there.
Now I really wish I had my MySpace still, bro. That would have been lit.
Can they hit you up on AIM?
Yeah, hit me up on AIM, definitely. Yeah. All right. So being serious,
give us your MSN, man. Give us that.
All right, I got it. Yeah. So you can find me at cryptobully at AOL.com. No, I'm just kidding. So for real, anybody that wants to hit me up, best place to hit me up for sure is going to be on my Instagram. It's the #1 crypto bully. So at the #1 crypto bully, type me in, pop me up, and I'll be right there. That's the best place. I stay on monitoring Instagram, looking through pictures, all that good stuff. Send me DM me. I'm a very personable and talkable person. I love helping everybody. So yeah, like literally DM me. I'll definitely answer. I'm not gonna blow you off. I don't do that.
And we'll link that in the show notes. Lyndon, bro, it's an absolute pleasure as always, man, to chat it up with you, bro. And You got a very inspirational story, man. I still can't believe you've been shot at like multiple times. That's new to me. I've known you for years, and I'm just learning about that.
Facts.
But it was a pleasure to have you on, man. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, bro.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate you having me on. You already know, whenever we talk, we have a bar, bro. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Take care, bro. Later.
All right, man. You too.